Welcome to this study style session for the BJCP training program by the Brewers Anonymous Homebrew Club. We're continuing our look at Category 1. We're up to subcategory 1C, Cream Ale. So let's get started by looking at the vital statistics for this beer, and then we'll go into the finer details of what we will be judging this beer on. So, vital statistics for Cream Ale. We are starting off with the original gravity is a range of 1.042 to 1.055. The final gravity is a range of 1.006 to 1.012. The IBU range is 8 to 20. The SMR range is 2 to 5. And the ABV range is 4.2 to 5.6%. Okay, let's look at the overall impression for the guideline entry. Again, I'm probably going to say this more times than you need to know. This is not the overall impression on a score sheet. These are two different overall impressions. They share the same name, but they're two different things. But the overall impression in the guideline reads, a clean, well-attenuated, highly carbonated, flavorful American lawnmower beer. Easily drinkable, smooth, and refreshing with more character than typical American lagers, yet still subtle and restrained. And I guess I should note lawnmower beer, or lawnmower is in quotes. It's not a beer that tastes like a lawnmower, or it shouldn't be. I have seen some reviews on Beer Advocate of some of the suggested commercial styles, and they may actually liken it to gasoline or lawnmower-like, but that is not obviously what that means. All right, those characteristics that we're going to be noting on our score sheet. Let's go through those and see what we should be finding in this beer and narrow it down to a couple highlights that we're going to put on and refer to on our study cards, which I do have one for Cream Ale that we'll be getting to very shortly here. Aroma. Medium, low to low malt notes with sweet corn-like aroma. Low DMS optional. Medium-low hop aroma optional, using any varietal, but floral, spicy, or herbal notes are most common. Overall has a subtle, balanced aroma. Low fruity esters optional. On appearance, it reads, pale straw to light gold color, although usually on the pale side. Low to medium head with medium to high carbonation. Fair head retention. Brilliant, sparkling clarity, and effervescent. And on to flavor now. It reads, low to medium-low hop bitterness, low to moderate malty sweetness, varying with gravity and attenuation. The malt is generally neutral, possibly grainy or crackery, usually well attenuated, balanced palate with hops only enough to support the malt. A low to moderate corny flavor is commonly found, but light DMS is optional. Finish can vary from somewhat light, dry, and crisp to faintly sweet. Clean fermentation profile, but low fruity esters are optional. Low to medium-low hop flavor of any variety, but typically floral, spicy, or herbal. Subtle. And finally, for our purposes of judging mouthfeel, it reads generally light and crisp, although body can reach medium. Smooth mouthfeel with medium to high attenuation. Higher attenuation levels lend to a thirst-quenching quality. High carbonation. And that is it for the things we need to know, except for the commercial examples. And in the 2021 guidelines, the commercial examples are listed as Genesee Cream Ale, Labbitt-Shiner Cream Ale, Kawanda Pre-Prohibition Cream Ale, Light King's Cream Ale, Sleeman Cream Ale, and Sun King Sunlight Cream Ale. And I sound a little surprised at the end because I just realized, I believe, well, I see it's not here. I think New Glarus Spotted Cow was on this list for the longest time. I'm surprised it's not there anymore. That's a fantastic beer. And I would say, I would theorize it's because of the availability of it. I don't believe still to this day you can get it outside of Wisconsin. But when we get to Czech lagers, we're going to see that availability was really not a factor of them deciding what to put on the list. So I don't know why that's gone. Oh, it's too bad. Not that I had one here. I do have one here, though. It is a Genesee Cream Ale. And this is the first Genesee Cream Ale I will have ever had in my life. I've never had this beer, and it's been around my whole life. In fact, yeah, it's okay. Since 1878. Yeah, I'm not as young as I used to be, but this is definitely older than me. Not this can. I hope not this can, but the beer, obviously. And I'm actually a little upset that the can design changed. I thought that kind of almost solid green with Genesee and Cream Ale in block letters and a couple white stripes was kind of like their thing they were going to hold on to for just forever. That was just their brand. But it's still a Genesee Cream Ale. It's kind of dumb that I'm excited to try it because typically it hasn't gotten the best reputation or reviews or Some jokes, I guess, about it. I can't really think of it off the top of my head. It's not a something people rave about in the craft beer world, let's say that. But I'm still really excited to try it because I've never tried it before. And if I don't stop talking about it, I'll never get to that point. So here we go. I got the Cream Ale study card, sheet, whatever you want to call it. Not quite a flashcard, not quite a sheet. So let's I'm going to take a sample of it and then going to give my initial thoughts of observations on each of those characters, and then we'll see how much they match. Wow, that really cracked loud. It probably came out in the mic. All right. I am still practicing. I'm pouring on camera, but there, I think that went pretty well. I kind of got ahead I was expecting or hoping for. And all right, so, well, let's go. It's right in front of the camera. We'll go right with appearance. That is clear. That is crystal clear. It's got definitely a frothy white head. It was actually bordering on moussey as it was pouring, and it's sticking around a little while. The color, again, camera is making it a little darker than it really is, or at least it is in real life, I guess I should say. It's kind of a light, little more than light gold, but not exactly gold color. And yeah, it's I would say effervescent as well. I do remember to grab paper towels. Let's see if you can, on the camera, see. Yeah, there we go. You can see the carbonation rolling through that beer. It's definitely effervescent. So, aroma, let's see what we got here. Ooh, that is when people say a beer smells like a beer, this might be the beer they're talking about. Wow. It's not too terribly different than the last two we did in terms of the aromas. It's definitely got that graininess. It's got that clean fermentation, which is where I think that character that I'm saying a beer smells like a beer is coming from. Little bit faint floral hops, definitely some cracker, a little bit of corn, but not a lot of sweet corn on this one. A lot of the things those last two beers had, but stronger. It's almost like turned up a little bit. Except for maybe that corn flavor or aroma. That might have been a little more in the American lager that we tried. But actually very pleasant for the style and for what you're, I think, expected to find in this. Let's go to taste here, or flavor, I should say. Actually a little muted compared to the aroma. I'm definitely getting some grainy notes that I'm expecting. There's a more distinct bitterness, but still not harsh than the last couple beers we had. There is a little bit of a floral presence that's kind of accentuating the grain into a little bit of a sweetness. They're working together really well. It's definitely clean. There is a little bit of let's see. It's not quite astringency. I think it's crisp, but not quite reaching dry. So it's giving a sensation, and the high carbonation is probably lending to that too. It's giving it kind of leaning towards a little bit of a astringent-like feeling, but it's not. It's definitely not full-on astringency. Now we're getting more into mouthfeel with that, but it's there. But I don't think I'd chalk it up as astringency. It's probably a heavier carbonic bite than what we've had before, and other descriptors for mouthfeel. Definitely, there's a much more of a texture on this than our last two beers. It's almost velvety. It's actually quite nice when it comes to just discerning the texture apart from the taste and the aroma. And that carbonation is definitely giving it some extra more character in the mouthfeel. The body is little light, which I think we're expecting on this. But otherwise, that carbonation and that kind of creamy velvet texture is quite pleasant. So let's see here. What did I miss and what did I find? Okay, aroma, low to medium to low sweet corn-like aroma. Sure, actually, that's probably the as far as the corn aroma goes and all the ones we've talked about in this category, that's probably the most accurate. Low DMS optional. I did not get any DMS at all, or anything that I would perceive as DMS, like an overly strong corn character. Medium, low, floral, spicy, herbal hop, sure. Low fruity ester is optional. Okay, optional. I didn't really get any kind of yeast character other than that Maybe a hint of sulfur, but I should save the kind of comments for the score sheet at this point because now I'm just adding to what I've already said. Appearance, pale straw to light gold, absolutely. Low to medium head with fair retention. Yep, definitely brilliant, sparkling clarity and effervescent. Bingo. Flavor, low to medium hop bitterness. Yeah, absolutely. Low to moderate malt sweetness and neutral with possible grainy or cracker notes. I'd say that's what I was getting. Balanced. Okay, wasn't really considering that as a descriptor, but I'd say that's probably accurate. Light DMS optional. We already talked about that. Low to medium hop flavor. Sure, low. I think I'm saying a little lower than low. Clean with fruity esters optional. Again, that's optional. And mouthfeel generally light and crisp. Can be medium bodied, smooth, and high carbonation. All right. I think we got a good example. Obviously, we have a good example. It's been suggested that we try this beer to learn this style. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty. I am going to get a score sheet. I'm going to fill it out again. It's going to be a standard score sheet. We're not on to the exam score sheets yet. One thing I haven't said in all this, if you are judging along and you're filling out score sheets, which I hope you are, it's one of the main reasons behind these study sessions, make sure you save them because we're going to come back to all of them after a few style categories, I should say, maybe around category 4 or 5. We're going to come back to all our score sheets for an exercise that's going to help us improve our score sheets. So don't throw them away. Save them somewhere. We're going to go through them again in the future. And then, of course, save the ones after that because we'll be doing other things along those same lines. So I'm going to grab my score sheet, grab a pencil. I'm going to pause this recording, and then I'll come back and we will go over our score sheets. Alrighty, I am back, and I do have my score sheet filled out top to bottom. There's the top, there's some of the bottom. You get the idea. I've been through that before, and we'll be through it many, many more times again. All right, let's get into this. Aroma, what I wrote down, armed only with re-reviewing this little study card before sitting down and judging this, is an aroma. Light cooked sweet corn notes up front with an accompanying light, grainy malt sweet note. Delicate floral, nearly lavender-like hop notes. Distinct fermentation / general clean yeast character. No noticeable esters. And I gave it an 11 out of 12. For appearance, I wrote light gold to gold in color. A medium dense to billowy bright white head on pour that lingered, eventually falling to a tight collar of tiny and fine bubbles. Brilliantly clear, and 3 out of 3. And what I mean about color, let's see if I can, I'm not sure. Okay. See how we have this little white line of bubbles, and there you can barely see the top. I know the camera's more focused on me than the beer, but there we go. The top is clear, but there's a line of bubbles around the cup. The cup, I should say. That's what I mean by color. And I use that descriptor a lot because that's how a lot of the beers end up after being poured and sitting. It's just more descriptors we can use to make sure we have a complete score sheet. Flavor, light, sweet, fresh corn notes with soft, sweet grained flavor over the tongue and palate. A light, distinct, but smooth bitterness that arrives in the finish and lingers in the aftertaste. Very faint floral hop flavor, more prevalent as the sample warms up. Clean, crisp to dry fermentation character, an 18 out of 20. Did I say 3 out of 3 on appearance? I think I did. If not, that was an 18 out of 20 on flavor. Mouthfeel, low to medium, low bodied. Highly carbonated and effervescent. No distracting alcohol warmth. A noticeable carbonic bite that accentuates the overall character. No direct astringency, though the carbonic bite does mimic an astringent character slightly. And that was a 4 out of 5 on mouthfeel. And finally, in my overall impression, a very well-crafted, well-brewed beer, light and refreshing, while carrying a pleasant flavor and aroma, balance of malt, hops, and yeast character. Body may be a touch too low for style and flavor profile. A very slight increase in body would round out this beer very well. Very enjoyable sampling. And I give that a 9, and that gives us a 45, and that puts it in the outstanding range. As you see there, I circled it. I should move that over a little bit, make sure it's in frame when I crop this video. And as far as that matrix goes, everything was top of the list on that. So as far as style accuracy, it was a classic example. As far as technical merit, is flawless. As far as intangibles, it was wonderful. It's actually surprisingly good beer for what I was expecting, I should say. I could see why people wouldn't like this on the regular. It's great for thankfully I'm inside. If I were outside, and mowing the lawn, as it says, this would be something to reach for. I said that same thing about, I believe it was the American Lager, that I was coming inside from a hot day and grabbed one of those. Now that I have some of these, I've got a lot of these now. I had to buy a 12-pack to get this particular beer. I'll probably grab one of these. I did enjoy sampling this. It really isn't about that. It's more about judging it. I just kind of wanted to say that because I was quite surprised. And I had my first Genesee Cream Ale after all these decades, years and decades. I'm now old enough to count time in decades. It's been that long since I've known about this beer and never had it, and been old enough to drink it and still haven't had it until today. Can't say that anymore. All right. That's it. I hope you did your score sheet. And if you did, like I said, save it. We're going to come back to these later. And as far as, obviously, I didn't say this in the wrap up. It's a 45. It's outstanding. It's the first outstanding we've had. We're only 3 into this, but it's an outstanding beer for the style. And it's a suggested style. I was going to say it's top on list, but the lists are alphabetical, so that doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, this is a great beer to have in mind when I go. If I am handed a cream ale on my judging exam, I've got a fantastic comparison now in the recesses of my mind, the taste, the flavor, the aroma, everything for when it comes time to use some kind of example to compare against when I'm judging that beer. So that's it. Again, if you're new to this, you stumbled upon this particular style study session. This is part of a much larger program. It's a BJCP training program by the Brewers Anonymous Homebrew Club. You can find out more at learn.brewersanonymous.org. You can even find out more about the club at brewersanonymous.org directly. So that is it. And we have one more to go in category 1, and we're going to do that next.